Advanced education in general dentistry. Advanced education in general dentistry. That's the topic today, guys. Join me as we talk to a D4. He's getting ready to graduate next week, and she's got her plans for her next steps in dentistry. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach, another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show. We talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, be sure that you are staying subscribed, but also like, comment, and share. Sharing is caring, so that we can continue to share information and help you and your colleagues, not only in the U.S., but around the world as well. All right. Also, this episode of Ask Dr. Darwin is being brought to you by GetIntoDentalResidency.com. Right here. GetIntoDentalResidency.com, a resource to help you match into your ideal residency program this cycle. Great resource. For more details, go down below and check it out. Okay. So today we got another one that has matched. All right. But she's got a very interesting story about how she matched. And she's got some moving parts that sometimes can happen during this next phase of your dental education. Today we're joined with D4, soon to be Dr Gigi. We're joined with Dr Medgine. I say right? Medgine.
That's right.
Medgine Etienne. How you doing, Doc?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Well, I remember this time over 20 years ago, a week before graduation. Everything's finally coming to fruition. Mm-hmm. So congratulations on that. But also, tell us a little bit more about yourself for those that are meeting you for the first time.
Okay. Well, my name is Medgine Etienne. I am a D4, almost a graduate at Meharry Medical College. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and I went to undergrad at Georgia Southern University, took a year off of school, and, made my way into Tennessee at Meharry Medical College. It's been a fun ride. It's been a journey, and it's finally coming to a close. And I'm grateful for every step of the way.
That's great. New York, huh? New York. I think there's now understand the connection of the sweatshirt you got on as well, too.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about that. But one of the things we want to know is relates to your decision. You made a decision that dental students is not a mandatory decision, which is to continue your education after dental school. You made a decision to do a residency. So let's talk a little bit real quick about why a residency. Why did you decide to do a residency?
Okay, so I had a professor during my first year at Meharry Medical College who would always quote a famous quote by Bruce Lee. He would say, "I fear not the man who practices 10,000 kicks one time, but I fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times." And that's exactly what I think about when I think about residency. It's the opportunity to hone in on one skill, one specialty, and perfect that craft. So you're able to give, the best treatment to your patients. So I actually went into dental school knowing that I wanted to do a residency. So I originally wanted to do orthodontics. So I just made sure that, I kept my grades up and was involved in extracurricular activities and shadowed. But yeah, I just always loved the specialty. So I kind of decided fairly early that I wanted to do a residency.
And that's typically the story for many people who have made that decision early on, maybe right before dental school, or maybe that first year of dental school. It's like, you know what, I want to specialize. Mm-hmm. I want to do ortho. I want to do pedo. I want to do oral surgery. I want to do endo, whatever it is. And so, but there's still a lot of folks, even first, second year, that are on the other side of the fence who have
Mhm.
said, all right, that's fine. I'm going to just go explore, learn, and see what I like. And for some people, they may not even decide about a specialty as late as third year.
Mhm.
Talked to many people that have been just recently got into pedo
Mhm.
and a couple other programs, specialty programs that really didn't really um, solidify with them until late second year, halfway through third year. So it's a process, and it's different for everybody, right?
Sure, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about your application, because that is a process as well. But
Mhm.
applying to programs, you have a little bit of a unique situation and how you applied the types of programs that you applied to, um, all of which is still a process. So share a little bit about that story as well.
Okay, so as I said, I went into dental school knowing that I wanted to pursue a career in orthodontics. So pretty early on, I found a mentor, somebody who is a practicing orthodontist who was able to give me some tips. Now, when it came to first and second year, we kind of didn't speak much on like the application process. She was more so telling me to keep my grades up, get involved in extracurricular activities, and try to shadow as much as I could. Now, during our third year of dental school is when the pandemic hit. And that was a little bit of a hindrance, but it also enabled me to shadow offices more because we had a group A, B type of schedule at school. So if I wasn't at school, I was shadowing orthodontic offices around Nashville, Tennessee. So I started that during my fall semester of third year. Now, during my spring semester of third year, I wanted to work a little bit more on what my application would look like. So I started studying for the GRE in January and I took it in March. Then in March, I started reaching out to faculty and asking them to write me letters of recommendation. And that's something that I definitely would recommend because come May, all the faculty, they're being bombarded with emails of other students trying to get recommendation letters. So if you can ask them early and you still have time to, cultivate that relationship in between March and May, like for instance, then do that as early as you can. And I also wrote my personal statement in April and did my CV in April as well. And that gave me time to make some edits before May came. So by the time the application opened in May, I had everything ready to go. So
Yeah, that's key.
Mm-hmm.
Having things ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
especially when part of the application, your letters of recommendation, more specifically, are not dependent on you. They're dependent
Yeah.
dependent on somebody else. And
Mm-hmm.
and you were spot on. The earlier the better, especially for those letters of recommendation, because all those favorite faculty members that are your favorites, guess what?
My favorite.
They're everybody's favorites, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
get bombarded all the time with those requests each and every year. So the earlier the better, with those letters of recommendation, but also when you're applying to programs like ortho and even endo, you want to get started with that application early.
Mm-hmm.
Endo has a much earlier launching pad as far as when the application is due. Then comes ortho, because they are part of the match, but they're the phase one of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Ortho programs, or most of them, are not in match. Less than 10% are in match, and they're interviewing like June, July. They are interviewing already
Mm-hmm.
for endo programs as well. So great timeline with regards to your application. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, your new dentist coach. Hey, look, it's residency time. It's residency application time. And the biggest question that a lot of people have is, how do I prepare my application? So look, if you're struggling in getting your information together, your CV, your personal statement, or you're ready but not prepared for your interviews, reach out to me ASAP, right? Through my group, Dental Residency Headquarters, we can help you. We can help you get ready for this residency cycle so that you're able to do this. We want you to match into residency cycle this year. All right. But you got some work to do. If you need some help with that application, shoot me an email at newdentistcoach@gmail.com. newdentistcoach@gmail.com. And through our program called Get Into Dental Residency, we can help you. But you got to hurry up because residency application is right now. So shoot me an email right now. All right, let's get back to this episode. Also part of that application is knowing what programs or what schools that you want to apply to. And, some of that, you'll make that decision after your first and second year when you are able to really determine what program or what direction you're going to go into. Tell us a little bit about how you made those decisions about what programs and why those programs as well.
So I actually went to undergrad in a small town, Statesboro, Georgia, really Southern Georgia, traditional. So once I left that town, a big goal for me was I want to live somewhere like a bigger city. I realized being in undergrad in a small town that I definitely love being in a big city. So location was very important for me when I was trying to decide on ortho programs. There's a lot of people who, a lot of other things come into play, like 2-year versus a 3-year program. Do I have to do research? Do I not have to do research? But I just know for me, mentally, to be happy and content with where I'm at, I had to put location first. So I ended up applying to like 8 or 10 schools, but all of them were located in bigger cities. Looking back at it, I think that it was a good choice. I still would make that choice today because
Yep.
I definitely think I'm happier when I'm enjoying the environment around me.
And that's so important because not only do you have to enjoy the program, right, but you also have to enjoy where the program is located because depending on whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to be there for that period of time. So you want to be able to be in a city that you can explore, that there's opportunities that, complement your personality, who you are and everything. So yes, that's definitely a good reason, whether you end up going to a program in a big city or not, but still having that priority, making that priority. So that's good. So location, anything else that was important to you as far as the programs that you were looking at and where you applied?
Yes. So after location on my list was definitely a 2 versus 3-year program. What I did notice about ortho programs in bigger cities is they tend to be 3-year programs. And that's because there is a hospital that the students will do rotations at. And that 3rd year of orthodontic training looks like rotations in a hospital. I'm doing orthognathic training with the oral surgery residents. So that is something that I ended up looking into as well. Is there a hospital component involved during that 3rd year of training?
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, after you apply, the next step is, waiting. Waiting.
Yeah.
And waiting.
Yes.
And then you may wait some more.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, people probably ask, well, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for an interview, right? You're waiting for an email to say, hey, we got your application. We like what we see. We want you to come in for an interview so we can talk more.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that process or that component for you and how you dealt with that.
Okay. So, like you mentioned before, orthodontics is phase 1. So typically your students applying to ortho they'll be in the first round of people to hear back for interviews. So in May, June, July, all the way up until August is more so applications coming into school. Now, schools don't start sending interviews until, if they're early, August. September is around the time that you'll hear back from a majority of your schools you applied to. So like you said, I waited. And then I waited, and then I started texting people who are in ortho, and I'm like, when do I start getting nervous about waiting? And this was end of September. And I remember getting a text back from somebody, and they were like, now you start getting nervous. So, I still held on to hope. It was October, didn't hear anything back. By this point, a lot of my classmates, they had a group message, and they were just like, yeah, I'm getting interviews for ortho. I had to mute that group message because I started getting a little stressed out, and imposter syndrome starts to come into play. You start doubting yourself, like,
yep.
And then I questioned a lot, did I even turn in my application right? Like, I went back and looked at my emails, just seeing if I got a confirmation from schools to see if it was all in, and everything was all in. But at that point, there's nothing you can do. Like, you just sit and you wait, and your fate is really in their hands. So it was late October, and I still hadn't heard anything back from any of the programs that I applied to. Not even a rejection. Like, I heard
right.
nothing back.
See, that's the killer part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least tell me something.
At least so I
like
know.
tell me no,
Mm-hmm.
electronically or telephone call.
Right.
Like, don't keep me in a mystery, please.
I was like, the letter can literally say, dear applicant number 1053, you didn't get it. And I would be okay. Like, I heard nothing. And I just remembered a quote that someone had told me, and they're like, what's for you will never miss you. So I held on to that, and I knew that wherever, I was going to end up was going to be for me. So in November, early November, November is match for ortho. It's mid-November. Yep. So early November, I was like, I obviously have to shift my plan a little bit. And I had an external rotation at school the first 2 weeks of November, and this external rotation couldn't have come at a more perfect time. It was at a clinic that is down the street from Meharry Medical College. It's called Matthew Walker Comprehensive Health Clinic. They actually have a residency program there, an advanced education and general dentistry residency. This was the best 2 weeks of my whole dental school experience, was meeting these girls, the residents there, the doctors who work there, the assistants. They opened my eyes up a little bit more to what general dentistry could be. They helped me realize that it really is about what you make it. I think in school, you have to be the assistant, you have to be the hygienist, you got to be the lab tech, you got to be the janitor, like, you got to do it all. So I think that kind of leaves a bad taste in some people's mouth when it comes to general dentistry. But I think going on this rotation reminded me that a lot of this, I don't want to say extra work, but the necessary work that you have to do in dental school, you won't have to do all of that stuff when you are in the career and you're just the dentist. So match day came for ortho, and I was not upset. Like, I had accepted it very early on that I wasn't going to match. And I was happy for my classmates who did, but at that point it was time for me to revamp my application and change
pivot, shift, right?
So on November 18th, that was match day for ortho. That's when I started writing my new personal statement. So yeah.
Good. Yeah. There's a quote that I just kind of put together as I'm listening to you talk, which was, you have to shift. You have, plan B. Just because there's different plans doesn't mean that A is better than B or C is better than D. It just means it's the next step. You have to shift. You have to pivot. And sometimes the shift is really a setup for the next step of greatness for you. So let's talk about how this experience and Matthew Walker at the clinic there, kind of prepared you for this next phase of your application?
Mm-hmm. I think what's ironic about me having to shift my application is that somebody, this was early May, they had told me what my backup plan was going to be if I didn't get into ortho. And this was a phone call. So I'm on the phone with someone and they're just like, so what's your plan B? I hung up because I said, there is no plan B. Like, why would you say that? I'm going to get into ortho for sure. And lo and behold, on November 18th, I had to come up with a plan B.
Plan B is plan A.
Hello? Yes. So, November 18th. Yes, I rewrote my personal statement. To be honest, I tweaked my dental school personal statement just a little bit, tied in my experiences I had at Meharry, but that was a good stepping stone to making a new personal statement.
Yep.
But you also have to remember at this point, November, GPR interviews are rolling in. AEGD interviews are already rolling in. So I'm applying late to the game, very late to the game. Although their applications, most of them, they close like December, November. Some of them are rolling admissions. So some programs their applications close or it's just they're full. So I knew that I had to revamp my application in a way to make me really stand out at this point. I had to tweak my CV a lot because a lot of it was tailored to orthodontics. So I just, put in my experience working as a dental assistant. I highlighted that. And I mean, all the extracurriculars still fit in well, and my research still fit in well when it came to that. So other than personal statement and CV, I didn't really tweak a lot. You actually can't go back and tweak your letters of recommendation. Like there's no way for you to delete that and for it to come. So the schools I applied to saw like that most of my letters of recommendation said she's a good candidate for orthodontics. But I think that programs like GPR, AEGD, they're used to seeing, people roll over from that phase 1 application going to.
It happens. It happens all the time. And I can tell you there's a lot of programs, GPR and AEGD programs, that love when additional candidates like yourself come into the mix, because there is an understanding that you're getting candidates who are not that all the other candidates are not, if you don't apply for a specialty, but we know that if you're didn't get an interview for a specialty program, it just means it's just it's the next window of opportunity for you, but you're still going to be probably one of the most desired candidates for the general dentistry pool because just your profile, right? As far as probably class rank, but just mindset and the determination, and you got a purpose and you got a goal. Not that those other candidates do not, but there's something a little bit different about those candidates that are applying to certain specialty programs. So it's a big welcome sign for a lot of candidates like yourself when we add you all into the mix, into the candidacy mix for those GPR and AEGD programs as well. Yeah. So now that you're in kind of plan B, new phase, and you've responded well, which is, it's not about what happens to you, but it's more about what happens, or it's really about what you do when change happens, how you respond to that. And it looks like you just kind of just kept it moving.
Okay. Yes. And also no. Because after match day rolled around and I'm tailoring my application towards GPR AEGD, you're also hearing about post-match opportunities. So I feel like although November 18th was like my sign, like, come on, let's move on. A week later, I was still trying to resist that. So I looked up all the post-match opportunities for ortho. There were 3 schools. I did contact them, all 3 programs. One ended up filling up the spot within that week. And then 2, I did apply to. I actually did have a post-match interview for orthodontics at a program. This is mid-December. And I had the post-match interview, and the day of my birthday party in December, I found out I did not get the last spot at that ortho program.
You didn't get it this year?
I didn't get it this year. That's right. I did not get that last spot.
I need for those that are watching and listening to remember that you just didn't get it this cycle. That's it. Okay, go ahead. I just want people to just want to put a pin. Just want to put a pin in that so people understand that. Okay.
For sure. Delayed does not mean denied.
Hello.
So, so the day I found out was the day of my birthday party, and I had a GPR interview scheduled for 2 days later. So that's really the moment where I was like, okay, ortho is not going to be this year. Right. So let's move on with plan B.
Let's keep it moving. That's right. The train don't stop. Train don't stop. Let's go. Let's go. There's always just because you miss one bus don't mean you're going to miss the next one. There's another one coming.
That's right.
You're going to get on the bus or you just going to be walking. So you got on the bus. So that's good. Good. So, you talked a little bit about the second phase and the shift that happened. Did you have some interviews? Did you have interviews for AEGD? Did you have some also for GPR, or was it just for AEGD? And if it was just for AEGD, tell us a little bit about that day, that interview day, and what kind of questions, anything that stuck out that was maybe unusual. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I feel like my story is going to get a lot more interesting. I actually did not interview at any AEGD programs. So what ended up happening was, like I said before, in November, Matthew Walker really taught me that I wanted to pursue a residency program in advanced education of general dentistry. So the 2 types of general dentistry residencies you have are GPRs, AEGD. What I love about AEGD is that it works like private practice. There is no hospital component to it. So you would never be on call. Like, for instance, that's something that, right. I mean, it's somebody's ministry. It's just not mine. Every place I interviewed during phase 2 match was a GPR. I actually ended up going to New York because a lot of those GPR programs were the ones that were still open. Now, New York is a big city, super saturated with people, and with a big city comes, very extreme trauma cases. And I interviewed at 2 GPR programs in New York, both being level 1 trauma centers.
Which means you're on call.
You're on call and you're doing very extravagant work, stuff that I wasn't trained on in dental school. I remember one resident at One Brooklyn told me that she sutured somebody's lacerated eye. Now, if that wasn't enough for me, it was also 2 a.m. And I said, I don't know if I could be the one doing that. She said, anything neck up, they're calling the dentist.
Calling dental.
And I'm like, I don't know if that is for me.
That's not my ministry.
You said it. I don't know if that's for me.
Right.
The other GPR program that I did interview at was it was in DC. And that was another, instance that reminded me that, I want to stick to the AEGD. I don't think that this is the type of general dentistry that if I decide to pursue a career in general dentistry long-term, that I would be doing anyways. So I want my training to be more tailored to what I'm going to see, private practice.
Right.
So NYU Langone is a very special AEGD program. They have locations in basically every state in the US. Now, the catch with them, their application was open late for me to be able to apply in November. However, most of those programs only take 2 residents per year. So, and some of them are rolling admissions. So although those were the only AEGD programs that I did apply to, most of them were full. So that's probably why that's actually the reason why I didn't get any interviews at any AEGD programs during phase 2 interview season.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But you've got a sweatshirt on that tells us a little bit, and it doesn't say Meharry. And it doesn't say Georgia Southern when you went to undergrad.
No, it doesn't.
So there's a reason, and there's a process on how. Well, there's a reason why you have that sweatshirt on, and there's a reason why it says what it says. So how did that come about?
Okay, so phase 2 match day came, and at this point, I'm a pro at post match. I know exactly how this process goes. So I think it's a couple of days before match.
Yep.
I get an email and it's like, okay, I'm very excited about this email actually, because I didn't get this experience phase 1. And it's like, okay, you can put in your rank now. And I'm looking at the email and I'm remembering something that the program director at One Brooklyn said. He explained to us that match is kind of like a contract. Once you match somewhere, I don't want to say you're obligated to go, but it looks very bad if you back out, basically. So I did not want to be committed to somewhere where my heart wasn't in it all the way.
Absolutely.
So when it came time to match, I made the decision to not rank any program that I interviewed at. I didn't rank any, but I had 3 programs, but I said GPR is not for me.
Now, let me just say, those that are listening and watching, this happens. What Dr. Gigi is talking about, this happens, but it doesn't happen a lot. Or I should say, it's not documented that it happens a lot. It is something that can happen, especially for the reasons that you just mentioned, where if your heart's not in it, it don't feel right, don't put a program down where you don't feel like you want to be at. Because if you do match, guess what? You're matched and you're stuck. And even while you're there, if you don't have that warm, fuzzy feeling about the program's gonna know it, the program director's gonna know it, the other residents are gonna know it. And granted, you're getting paid, you're learning, but it's just not gonna be a good fit. So there are times when I recommend what you just did, which is don't put it down. Don't put a place down where you don't see yourself at, because it's a waste of the program's time, and most importantly, it's a waste of your time as a candidate, and you don't have time to waste. You've already spent 8+ years to get to become Dr. So-and-so. You want to get moving in your career. You want to get to that next step, whether it is some additional training. So you don't want to waste another year being at a place where it's not going to be conducive for your learning. So just wanted to mention that, because that, again, this does happen, but maybe not as much as people realize that it happens.
And like you said too, at a year, I know it doesn't seem like a lot of time, but I wanted to be able to be in an environment where I was happy, because ultimately that affects your quality of work to your patients. If I'm not coming in with a good attitude every day, if I'm not happy about where I am, I'm probably going to not give the best work to my patients. And I did not want that to my patients. So I ranked nobody, and I said, I'm just going to wait for post-match to come along. If the list for ortho was 3 programs, I'm sure the list for GPR AEGD will be a lot longer.
Yep.
And it was.
It was.
It was a very extensive list.
So what about Columbia did you like?
Okay, so to be very honest with you, I don't even remember most of the schools I applied to when it came to post-match. I was looking at the list and I saw the numbers. I'm like, okay, it's kind of a race at this point. Schools, if somebody didn't match and they already interviewed them, they're probably going to get top priority over somebody who didn't match, who they've never met before. So you kind of have to move very quickly when it comes to post-match. The list comes out an hour after match. So you're just on the computer an hour after match and you're scrolling and you're looking at I had 2 screens. So one screen, I'm looking at the post-match. The other screen, I'm looking up the school, the program director, the email, the contact information. Then my friend's at the kitchen table looking up another school for me, the program director, the contact information. I'm forwarding the emails to my friends. They're sending them. You got to move very quickly when it comes to fast. I'm so blessed to have a very supportive group of friends who were really there for me that day to help me out. So Columbia, they were on the list, and originally, like I said, I am from New York. My parents are actually immigrants from Haiti. So when they moved to America, they hear all the big name schools. They hear Harvard, UPenn, Columbia, and it's kind of ingrained into you at a very young age. You're going to go to Ivy League school. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Not only that, but you're going to either become a doctor or a lawyer. Very fortunate for my parents that I actually wanted to be a dentist for my own reasons. So I knew about Columbia from a young age. My dad actually drove taxi when he first moved from Haiti in New York a while. So, I would be in the backseat with him, driving, we would see it. And to me, at a young age, it was just another school that I saw all the time. I didn't understand, the caliber of student that was at a university like that. But I did end up following a resident on Instagram. And I followed her for a long time, but I don't think it ever clicked in my head that this girl goes to Columbia University and she's an AEGD resident. Until I was looking at the post-match schools and waiting. I remember scrolling through my timeline and seeing her, and I'm just liking a picture. I'm like, the location says Columbia University. I'm like, is this a sign? But, I shut Instagram down, didn't think anything of it. And at this point, this is the 3rd time I'm in a waiting game. The 3rd time this year. So you just shut your devices down and you just wait. You wait to hear a response. So
3.
This is the 3rd time.
3 is the magic number. Mm-hmm. Used to be a song, De La Soul. Check it out. 3 is the magic number, right? The Trinity.
Yeah.
Right. Your true calling, your ministry happened
after the 3rd time.
Off the 3rd time. There you go. So now that everyone knows why you have that sweatshirt on, you will be taking your talents to Columbia University to do the AEGD program.
But it's a very full circle moment. I would have never imagined that I would be able to say that I'm going to Columbia University. I think, like I said before, this is a very full circle moment, being that, I was young and we would drive by there all the time. And then my parents would always talk about it. And here I am. And I would not trade any part of my journey this past year for an ortho. I have nothing. Like, this is absolutely mind-blowing, incredible. And I just never imagined that I would be in the position that I'm in, going to where I'm going to go.
Well, you're definitely going to Columbia, but how you got there has been a journey, to say the least. As we wrap up, I really want us to just to really focus now on tips, advice, knowing what you know, what you've been through in this ministry of 3 to get to Columbia, some people that are watching and listening may have a similar journey. They may not know where the path may take them this upcoming application cycle. So what are some tips and some advice that you would want to share with them, like 3 or 4 different things, knowing what you know now about this process?
My first piece of advice would definitely be, do not doubt yourself. I think early November, imposter syndrome really kicked in, and I was just thinking that, maybe I didn't do the right things. Maybe I could have gotten a high grade on this. Maybe I didn't meet enough people, but do not doubt yourself. Always be confident in what you brought to the table, and just, keep the faith. Know that you are a good applicant. Know that you made it through dental school. That's already an accomplishment in itself. Mm-hmm. Like, you are 100% capable of becoming a resident. The second piece of advice, this is like my life motto, and I've already said it during our talk. What's for you will never miss you. If the opportunity does not come, know that it was not an opportunity for you. Like I said, I never imagined that I would end up where I'm going. It wasn't even a thought in my mind to apply to Harvard or UPenn or Columbia for ortho, but look where I'm going for AEGD. What's for you will never miss you. Something else that my friend told me when I got a post-match interview, and I already said it during this interview too, delayed does not mean denied. So, eventually I may decide to come back for ortho, and I'll probably get there. Just know that your opportunity is always there. It's always yours for the taking. It may take a little bit longer, but the end goal is still the same.
Yeah.
Another piece of advice I would give is start early, because like me, you might have to end up tweaking some things, shifting some things. But if you start early, you give yourself the time to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's key.
Mm-hmm.
That's key. It gives you time, right? Mm-hmm. It gives you the ability to leverage time if you start earlier, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So that's good. Anything else as we wrap up? I mean, those 4 are just the bomb. Don't doubt yourself. What's for you will never miss you. Delayed does not mean denied. Start early. What else? Anything else?
What else? Not off the top of my head, but to be very transparent with you, I am a quote person.
Yes.
So I have a list of quotes on my phone. So if y'all want to hear quotes, I make a list every single year for my birthday about like 26 things I've learned in my 26 years of life, 25 things I've learned. So yeah, if you need any encouragement, advice, a quote, a pick me up, I'm your girl.
Good. Well, that's a great segue into how people can get in contact with you if they have some questions and just want to, so they can maybe go into a little bit, maybe you can go in a little bit more depth with them. What's the best way to contact you?
Currently the best way to contact me, this is not a plug, but it's probably Instagram DM. I have had a lot of pre-dental students message me on there, and I'm pretty good about messaging y'all back. My handle is @It's Medgine. It's spelled ITSMAYJEAN. Also, you can reach me via email. My email is MedgineEtienne@gmail.com. It's spelled MEdgineEtienne@gmail.com. And I'll get back with you and we could talk dentistry.
Well, we definitely have talked dentistry today. We talked about life after dental school as part of dentistry and residency, and it's been very helpful. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. We've enjoyed talking with Dr. Gigi. Next week it'll be officially Dr. Gigi. No. Are they gonna put that on your diploma, Dr. Gigi?
I'm gonna put it on my
I know that's right. Well, you deserved all the time, energy, and perseverance. That's the word of the day as well. Mm-hmm. That you put into this. You can put whatever you want on your diploma because you've earned it. Mm-hmm. And we're just very thankful that we've earned your time today so you can share with us your journey. So it's been very helpful. Guys, check out these next set of videos. Hopefully these will be helpful for you as well. And guess what? That's our time. Love, peace, and smiles. We'll see you next week. See you next week. Let's go, New York. New York, New York. Thanks.